a few other issues now. The voice to Parliament. The opposition leader says that it's not having or won't have the necessary impact in places like Alice Springs. He spent the last few days there and talks about the real crime crisis that is unfolding, along with Jacinta Price, his coalition colleague. This position is very much hardening against the voice to Parliament. What's your reaction to the way the opposition is running on this issue, which would likely make the referendum much more difficult to succeed?
Look, I'm incredibly disappointed, Kieran, and what I see is Peter Dutton essentially treating this like a run-of-the-mill political exercise where he can try to divide the country and score points on the government. I mean, how utterly depressing that that's the best the opposition leader can come up with. What the Prime Minister is asking our country to do is something powerful and meaningful and thoughtful, and that is ask a question about how we bring our country together to solve what are really significant issues in Aboriginal communities and how we can do that as one country. It is a meaningful thing for our country to ask citizens to decide. Ultimately, it's not about politicians, it's not about Peter Dutton, it's not about me. This is about Aboriginal Australians asking government for two simple things: recognition in our Constitution and merely to be consulted on matters of government that affect them. And the fact that he's campaigning against this, I think, reflects pretty poorly on him. Our focus is on the referendum ask of Australians and making sure we're really clear about what's going to be put before them later this year.
Julian Leeser quit this week, the Liberal spokesperson on Indigenous Australians and the Shadow Attorney General. He's quit. There are others with concerns. Should the government try and embrace the likes of Leeser and Liberals with those, I guess, an openness to vote in support and to support the referendum by making some amendments to really shore up their position?
Yeah. I mean, I think what we're seeing here is that the opposition leader's got this, only one way of doing politics, and that is to divide people and create conflict. The Prime Minister's style is actually completely the opposite, and the way that the PM has approached this from the very beginning is to try to bring everyone into a big, broad tent. Australians want to see reconciliation with Aboriginal brothers and sisters. That is the future of our country, and the PM is trying to map a pathway there that brings the country together. Now, we had always hoped that this would be a bipartisan arrangement with the Liberals. They have chosen a different path, but I can tell you I will sit down with Julian Leeser any day of the week to talk about how we can make sure that we've got really broad support for what is fundamentally a meaningful but not particularly radical change to our Constitution. Recognition, consultation, that's what it's about.
And finally, I know, like many of our viewers, my heritage, non-English speaking, and part of our family, over many years in the migration, this country and its multiculturalism, they've got a lot of challenges before them. One government service that helps them is the translation service, the telephone translation service. You've announced a permanent position for some 50 of those translators today. Can you tell our viewers about that?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Kieran. So Australia is such a big, beautiful, multicultural country, and lots of our citizens are second or third or fourth English language speakers. And it's really important that a country like ours provides a way for people who don't have English as their first language to use the services of government. So the people that work in this amazing part of my department in Home Affairs have been, too many of them have been put on casual labour hire contracts, which means that, they can't get a home loan, they don't have sick leave, all these sorts of things. And today, the Immigration Minister, Andrew Giles, and I have announced that 50 of those employees will be moving on to permanent contracts. So we've been here today talking to some of these incredible people about the work that they do, and it's a change I'm really proud to be a part of.